We live, we love, we lose, we die. This past year, the past 2 years, I've given a lot of thought. I've had to give a lot of thought to death and dying. I made it into my mid 40s without losing anyone very close to me. Very grateful to have had the time that I did have with my parents. My dad, he passed on in the fall of 2024. And then my older brother, Will, passed on in the spring of 2025. And my mother a week later. So it was a lot to process. This, I'm not necessarily going to dive into the details. I have shared, and I will continue to share, keep the legs strong, because when the legs go, we have falls, and the falls equate to leaving too soon. The journey of the caretaker and caring for my dad and caring for my mom were two of the most rewarding experiences of my life. I remember hearing Michael Pollan years ago talk about one of his biggest regrets was not being there for his dad at the end. And, Michael Pollan's one of my favorite authors. I admire him. I revere his work. And so I took that as an invitation to lean in and truthfully didn't really have another choice. But I suppose I could have ignored reality, and I could have not done the right thing. And I think a lot of people do that. But, our family doesn't have a lot of money, and there was, he needed to be cared for. That summer of 2024, my stepmother, called me home saying, "Hey, we can't, we can't care for him. We need more help." And so we did have the last 2 to 3 months where, I was there and caretaking, and it's 2 or 3 of the most rewarding months of my entire life. And I've talked a little bit about this, but this feels perhaps like a good time to share again with earnest hopes and intention. This might reframe your experience with death and dying, and to bring some awareness, because again, this is something that we ignore, we turn away from. We have dogmas and stories in our culture that are supposed to satisfy this, and I don't think that I know for me it doesn't satisfy that. But on one hand, I do feel this overwhelming amount of peace with both the loss of my dad and my mom. We did the very best that we could to care and to help, and and I've said this time and time again, it was like bringing an umbrella to a Category 6 hurricane. We were just kind of ill-equipped, well-intentioned, but yeah, you're not going to do very well with an umbrella in a Category 6 hurricane. And it's great to hear that this is being talked about more in our culture. Dementia, Alzheimer's, it's a big problem in our culture. And Dr. Tommy Wood, he's got a book coming out about longevity and cognitive longevity, and he's done a lot of work around Alzheimer's and dementia. And that, forget the name of the book right now. I just listened to the podcast last night. I haven't gone deep into his work yet, but it was very comforting, to hear that this is a conversation that we're having more and more, as this is a big problem in our culture. So again, being there for my dad at the end, the last 2 to 3 months, I was kind of his lead caretaker. He's a big man, a large man, and he was a fall risk every time he got up. So being there and having the quality time with him. Yeah, he had dementia and Alzheimer's, and some days were better than others, but it was again very rewarding to care and to be there, and everything that could be said was said at the end, for better or worse, and that it was again some really good bonding time, and I wouldn't have traded that for anything. And my mother, her experience was very different. We didn't see this coming. She had a fall, and the next thing you know, she's in the hospital, and 3 months later, she's gone. So that's something that we're processing. Certainly, still processing my dad's loss, but my mother's, she just got chewed up by the system. And again, I'm not going to go into major details about her, but we didn't see that coming. And so this has been a bigger challenge for me to process and to grieve. And the probably the most beneficial advice I was given from a dear family friend. She kind of shared the notion. She's this woman is probably in her 70s, and she's had a lot of loss in her life. I know that she's lost siblings and lots of family members, and I would imagine friends at this point. So she's been through it, and so I took her advice to heart, and that death is like there's this giant ship that is up close and personal. And I know here I'm in Miami Beach, and there's massive cruise ships, and these ships, when you're at South Point Park and these ships are going by, you're like, wow, this is a giant ship. But the ship starts to leave the shore, and each day, just like grief, certainly when the ship is leaving, it's not days, we're talking minutes, that it just becomes smaller, and it's less, and it's not as big, it's not as heavy, it's not as gripping, and then eventually the ship is kind of out of sight, and that's the grieving process. And I've put a share out a few months back that in settling up my mother's estate, and there was that last night that I was there, and I was in this house, and it's just sad, that we've got the sirens going on outside here in Miami Beach, but it was just sad. The being at the house, it was completely empty. It was just her bed, and I had one last night there, and just kind of sitting with everything. The house was she shined at the end. We got her cleaned up and new carpet and painted, and everything was we sure wish that we could have done that for her while she was here. And I had a moment to meditate in her room where she died, and I was kind of seeking some supernatural experience. And it was an hour-long meditation, just a beautiful, beautiful, clear meditation, but nothing supernatural. And but peace, and a big step in the direction of letting go and saying goodbye. And for me, that analogy around the ship leaving the shore has been really beneficial, and the frame around living my life fully aligned with the values of my parents makes the most sense to me. And that kind of keeps the grief gremlins at bay. That, I'm living a life aligned with kindness, aligned with service. Those were my mom's supreme values. My dad's supreme value was romance. And, the word legacy was something that I never really understood what legacy is, what legacy was, until going through this family crucible and keeping that legacy, keeping their legacy alive, and living life fully in honor of them. And yes, I wish they were here. So much I wish they were here to see me and to see me deliver the mission and the message, and to continue to do my work, and to see me meet that special woman and have children, and it kind of chokes me up when I think about how they won't be here to hold their grandchildren. And that was something if I have any regrets, is that I haven't, and I didn't have that opportunity to give them grandchildren, because that was their big value. That was just family. Family was it. That was the jam. And I got into other a different path, and that just hasn't happened. And this service mission, I knew that it was going to take some time, and I knew that it was going to be a 10-year detour, maybe away from that. And I feel like I'm just now at a point in my life where I'm completely ready to meet that special woman. And when the time is right, I will surrender to the process. And again, hopefully we'll have a few children. And yeah, that's my dream. That's the fantasy. That's the goal. And again, feel like I'm in a place after going through that family crucible where that makes sense, and I could see that, and I'm not necessarily scared of that anymore like I might have been before. And I think that death as a way of calling into question your values and what's really important, and you go through something like that, and I look at the world differently. I got less time for triviality and superficiality and BS, and it's just more of like what's real, and saying the thing and being bold, and not holding back, because again, this could all end tomorrow. People die, young all the time, and life is short, life is fleeting, and a few weeks back, a friend, a few months back, a friend that I used to network with, was in his 50s. In Chicago, died of a heart attack, John Bielski, and it's just sad to hear that, that he's 52 years old with kiddos, and my brother too. Yeah, he passed on at 53 years old, and again, the details, we don't have to go into that. And I don't feel like that was kind of one of the intentions here, but it was unexpected, and I'm still grieving that as well, and just ultimately trying to understand, where do we come from, where do we go, how come we don't talk about this collectively, our societal dogmas. I don't know. I don't necessarily subscribe to them. If you read my book, Worth the Fight, you'll know that I've kind of waged war against dogma. And I don't know. And I don't have the answers. But again, I think that, we utilize these experiences to live life fully. And, everybody's on their own journey, their own soul's journey. And I think about my brother Will. He had the miracle of having a daughter, my goddaughter Jocelyn, and so his early departure, I don't know, and was his work completed here? These are big questions and things that I think about and articulating here in the spirit of vulnerability, to invite you, the listener, to give thought to the loved ones that you've lost. And maybe this might help a few of you out there to reframe loss. It's universal to the human experience. And, I think that degree to which we lean in, I've been saying this since I wrote and released Worth the Fight, the degree to which we lean into the darkness, the pain, the adversity, the traumas, maybe the uncertainty of life, is the very same degree to which we can stand and share and love in our light. So giving thought to our mortality, giving thought to those who have left us too soon, I think paradoxically allows us to live life fully and to go all out and to be in the moment and to know that this could all end tomorrow, today. So if that's the case, then yeah, we want to live fully and live in alignment with our values We want to love fully. We want to do the work that we're here to do, make the impact that we're here to make. Time is short. And I think that so often we live life on autopilot, and death has a way of kind of snapping us out of this haze, this BS Inc. bullshit incorporated limiting belief scarcity program, this haze that keeps us small and constricted when it's, the truth is we live in an abundant universe, and abundance is our birthright. Hopefully, again, this might have inspired some clarity on your journey. I'd love to hear any thoughts and impressions in the comments below. I know that this is a little bit deep, but this felt timely, something that I've been meaning to share for some time. And yeah, hopefully you found value in this. I'm sure that I'll be weaving more of grief and, what it means to live, and death and dying, and in future messaging as well. As again, I think that this, the whole time, all the while this was happening to me, I was just thinking, use this, Matt, use this. This is happening for me, not to me. And that I'm getting an incredible soulful training, real life training that I can apply, and I could utilize these lessons to better serve my clients, to better serve my circle of influence, to better serve the people that listen to my podcast, read my book. Hopefully there'll be more books to come in the future. And yeah, again, I appreciate you listening to this heartfelt plea to share and hopefully to create some awareness around something that we don't talk a lot about: death and dying. So again, I appreciate your attention, appreciate you listening. If you made it this far, love and peace. Till tomorrow. Thank you.